Okay, so the cooks at the In-N-Out must make sure the meat is cooked within 5 degrees of the recommended 155 degrees. Right, Randy?
Yeah.
So if 155 is recommended, it must be within 5 degrees of 155. So we're looking for the range between those values. So you're looking to buy a car for about $5 grand. You can spend within $500 of this amount. Find all possible values for the price of the car. So we would say that the distance between X and what? 5,000, right? Because 5,000 is what we're talking about buying the car for, is no more than $500. Right? No more than? So the range is either above by 500 or below by 500. Good. So write this down. We're going to talk about solving with algebra. And these are your steps. Write these steps down. Okay, so this is what I really want you to pay attention to here. When we're setting up two inequalities, one goes in the positive direction, just like we were doing when we were talking about equations, and one goes in the negative direction. But when we're going in the negative direction, since we're going in the opposite direction, we need to take the opposite sign. So that's why we have to flip the inequality sign. Thank you. All right, so let's try this out with that example that we were doing before. So I would start with X minus 5,000 is less than or equal to 500. So the difference between X and 5,000 is less than or equal to 500. And the difference between 5,000 in the negative direction is going to be the opposite. Opposite sign, opposite direction, opposite value. Everything's opposite. Understood? Okay, so now we just have to solve. So I would add 5,000 to both sides, add 5,000 to both sides. Does it matter if I do it all at the same time? No, it doesn't matter. So X is going to be greater than or equal to 4,500, or I should say and, right, Anthony? X is going to be less than or equal to 5,500. And we normally see this written as X is between 5,500 and 4,500. And if we go back and look, oh, we didn't plot this one. That wasn't good. Let's say 5,000 is right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be 5,500. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be 4,500. So all the values in between. All right, let's try this one. Write this one down. So Ray has an average of 8 out of 10 on his quiz scores. All of his quiz scores are within 2 of his average. So let's talk about that. This can be written as the difference between his quiz score and his average is less than 2. So where would I start on the number line for that? 8. Negative 8? Just 8. Because we're talking about the difference between the two of them. Got it? So we start there, and we would go within 2 in the positive direction and 2 in the negative direction. This should actually be less than or greater to, because we're talking about within. If I'm talking about grades, right, and I say you're within 2 of your quiz score, wouldn't that still be 100% or 60%? Okay, so that would include 10, and that would include 6. and all the numbers in between. Okay, so the way we would set this up is algebraically would be the difference between n and 8 in the positive direction and the difference between n and 8 in the negative or the opposite direction. So I need the opposite sign. The opposite of less than or equal to is greater than or equal to. And now we're ready to solve. And I'm just going to go straight across. Add 8 to everything. When I add 8 to everything, I get n is greater than or equal to 6, and n is less than or equal to 10, which can be written in an in-between statement. How do I check if I'm right? What could I plug in, Elgin? I could substitute in any of these values. If I substitute anything in there for n, it should be a true statement, right? So if I put 7 in there, is 7 less than 10? Is 7 greater than 6? Okay. So the way I like to do it, though, is I like to just work with 0. So follow me on this one. If I put 0 in for n, is that going to be a true statement or a false statement? 0? Is 0 in this range? It's going to be false, right? Is 0 less than 10? But is 0 greater than 6? No. So this is a false statement. You don't have to do it that way. You can put anything in here and get a true statement. I just like to use 0 because 0 is really easy to plug in or substitute. All right, here's another one. Write this one down. I'm going to set up negative 2x plus 3 is less than or equal to 7 in the positive direction, and negative 2x plus 3 would be greater than or equal to in the negative direction. So what's my first step in solving both of these inequalities? Get rid of the 3. Get rid of the 3 on both inequalities. I'm left with negative 2x is greater than or equal to negative 10, and negative 2x is less than or equal to 4.
You need to divide that?
I'm going to divide next. When I divide, though, I'm dividing by, exactly, I'm dividing by negative, or I'm dividing by the opposite of that value, right? So if I'm dividing by the opposite, I need to take the opposite sign. Dividing everything by the opposite. Therefore, I get x is now the opposite of greater. It's less than or equal to, the opposite of an opposite makes positive, and x is less than or equal to negative 2, which still can be written in this format. X is between 5 and negative 2. How do I check this solution? What do I like to plug in? 0. Is 0 within this range? Is 0 between 5 and negative 2? Yes. So does it work? Yes. Anybody need this still? I have one more to get through. Yes. If it wouldn't be, yeah, it would be no solution. Okay. This one looks a little bit different. Right? I've got 3x minus 6, or absolute value of 3x minus 6 is less than 12. So am I going to set this up as two different inequalities first, or am I going to add 6 to both sides in one? You'd think, huh?
No, actually,
you want to get this out of here, because when I'm setting them up, aren't I switching signs? Well, I don't want to switch signs when I'm going in the negative direction if I've got 6 on this side, because 6 is not inside this absolute value. And when you switch a sign, it changes the value of something, right? So 6 isn't included in the absolute value, so let's get 6 over here because it matches this constant over here. So now I've got the absolute value of 3x is less than 18. Now can I solve it? Yes. So now I have 3x is less than 18, and 3x is greater than the negative 18. Have a great day, guys. I'll finish this up for you. Have a good day. So divide everything by 3, and x is greater than negative 6, and x is less than 6. X is between 6 and negative 6. And that's it.